Welcome to another edition of Fantasy News. I am your host, Daniel Green. Here is my co-host, let's call him Marvin, and today we have a good gambit of fantasy news to get through. But before we do, I want to address a huge controversy within the fantasy community recently. I won't get into too much detail here, but Blizzard has recently come under fire for essentially trying to suppress an activist who was competing in one of their tournaments for speaking out in support of the Hong Kong protesters and withholding his purse, trying to appease the Chinese government and its censors. There's been a lot of response to this. The NBA is doing something similar. South Park, of course, made fun of it and as a result was banned in China. And there's been a lot going on. But today, or yesterday, depending on when you're watching this, Blizzard put out a response, essentially saying that Chinese money had nothing to do with their decisions, which is completely against basically every bit of pattern of behavior they've had up until now, which was just... No, everyone can see through that so easily. Blizzard, try harder. My take on this, if you cannot tell from what I've said already, is that Blizzard was absolutely in the wrong. I personally do not plan on buying any Blizzard games in the future as a result, because I do not want to give my money to a company that seems to believe in money over freedom of speech. No, I don't support the people who go out and burn their sneakers to somehow protest Nike. That's not what I'm trying to convey here. Just donate your clothes, people. Don't burn a product you already paid money for. But I certainly do not plan on giving Blizzard any more money, and honestly, with their recent just drought of good games and the blatantly insulting direction they're taking the Diablo franchise in, it's not even that painful to do. How do you feel about watching a company over the last couple of years pretty much destroy what was, up until that point, a very positive reputation? Let me know in the comments down below, and check in the description for any news stories or sources I have linked to better describe the situation outside of my just very watered down run over. But let's go ahead and transition to the rest of the news today, starting with Henry Cavill's recent comments on his embodying the role of Geralt of Rivia for the upcoming Netflix adaptation for the Witcher series. His comments were, "I discovered the games, then I discovered the books, and the universe of The Witcher instantly meant something to me. I didn't even have the need to prepare myself for the role, because I breathe, I live this universe every day. I already got numerous opportunities to think about this character while I was playing the games. My preparation was already made before the casting started." Now, there has been some people who have been upset about these comments, saying he's not trying or doing his job. I think that is an utterly ridiculous way to interpret what Henry Cavill is saying here. He's not saying he's not doing his job or trying, but normally an actor who is handed a role like Geralt of Rivia, a deep, fleshed out character with a lot of backstory, they'd have to do a ton of reading. For instance, for the upcoming Amazon Wheel of Time adaptation, I'm sure those actors are going through those books like mad to try and make sure they embody the character properly. All Henry Cavill here was saying was he's not having to do that level of preparation because he's already a huge nerd for the Witcher franchise like we all are as well, and just knew and understood the character. Yes, the guy is still taking efforts to get the character right. He's basically reiterating that here, just in a roundabout way. He's saying he would have had to do those things, but he doesn't because he's already such a big fan and knows the character so well. This is good news. Stop trying to make everything negative, internet. And in two other bits of Witcher news, both positive in my opinion here, it has been reported that the full-length trailer for the Witcher show will drop soon. Excited to see that. I want to see as much of this world as possible, as soon as possible. I'm very excited. And recently in an interview, one of the production designers went on the record saying they used as little CGI as possible and had much more reliance on practical effects, essentially saying the vision for the show isn't a bunch of actors standing in front of green screens. I really actually like this. It's been pretty much the truth since, I want to say, 2000 era fantasy and just movie making in general, that a mixture of practical effects with CG has the best results. Yes, going back to the Lord of the Rings movies now, they don't look perfect or flawless. Some of the effects have aged poorly, but for their time, they looked incredible. And if you want things for the Witcher show to look incredible now, you cannot go wrong with blending CGI and practical and having more of a reliance on practical than CGI at your core. Without a doubt, the MCU is proving that you can have full CG characters that look spectacular, but you need to have a remarkable budget to achieve that. I'm not 100% sure what the budget is for Witcher here, but I certainly enjoy hearing that they're going to the practical effect base, which will inherently give this show a more grounded, impactful setting feeling for the entire series. That being said, let's go ahead and get the quickie fantasy news out of the way here. The Lord of the Rings adaptation happening over at Amazon put out a casting call for bearded men missing teeth over 200 centimeters. There's not much news here. I just really like that casting call. It's odd, and I just enjoy that. The live-action Masters of the Universe adaptation might be heading over to Netflix. This is definitely quickie news because it's a Might article, and I don't believe many people are incredibly excited for the upcoming Masters of the Universe adaptation. Pips is tickling my foot. Webtoon and the Jim Henson Company will partner to make a YA fantasy series called Lore Olympus. Definitely quickie news, I have nothing to say about this one. And something I do have a good amount to say about here, surprisingly, is a trailer. Onward from Pixar. Pixar is one of the most consistently high-quality, hard-hitting production companies out there. People love Pixar movies, everything from Incredibles to Cars to Toy Story. They're pretty much unanimously loved. There's been a couple duds here and there, but they're sparse, and they're never even awful. But my honest reaction to this Onward trailer when I saw it was lukewarm. It seemed fine. I was more excited before this trailer, though, and that's the first time that has ever happened to me for a Pixar trailer. Usually their trailers are on point, especially what sticks out in my head is the Incredibles 1 and 2 trailers. Those were spectacular. But this Onward trailer, I don't know why, but I'm now less excited for a Pixar film. And that's the first time that's ever happened. And the only reason I bring it up is it seems to be a sentiment widely shared among people I've been talking to about this so far. Apparently a bidding war has been happening behind the scenes between Hulu, HBO, and Amazon for Leah Bardu's upcoming novel, Ninth House. This highly anticipated novel has already printed 350,000 copies for its first release. Wow, that's a lot. But apparently Amazon has won over the adaptation rights, and that's going to be coming down the road. I'm not particularly familiar with this author or her works before. If you are, let me know in the comments down below. Are you surprised to hear about this reported bidding war? Or do you think it's justified, and are you excited for the upcoming Ninth House? And in huge casting news, Matrix 4 has apparently landed its leading role with Yeehaw Abdul-Martin II. Notable entries from his resume include Aquaman, Us, and The Greatest Showman. And I'm excited to see this coming down the road. And I actually, from what I've seen of this guy's work, am a fan of his acting abilities. Of course, I would never have called this casting because I don't know who they're looking at or what direction they're taking this franchise in, but I am excited to see it land with an actor who clearly has experience, but is yet to have a fully breakout starring role on quite the Matrix level. Let's give the guy a shot. In this absolutely surprises nobody who pays attention news, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire Illustrated Edition dropped, and in the first day it topped sales charts because duh, and the artwork that we've seen from the release within is pretty great. I'm throwing some of it up on the screen now, and I hope you enjoy while I delay so you have enough time to clearly look at it. I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting new editions of Harry Potter merch and, books and everything dropped until everyone watching this video is dead. J.K. Rowling will still be alive though. Her head will be in a jar, tweeting out changes to the Harry Potter lore. And in the final bit of fantasy news today, it's kind of become a tradition here every now and then to end fantasy news with a Stormlight update. And we got another one from Brandon Sanderson himself on Twitter saying, "Quick Stormlight 4 update. I've made great progress, and for the first time since I started in March, I am caught up. Huzzah! Unfortunately, tour starts Friday. I'll fall behind again, but we'll pick back up in November." Very excited to hear that, and I look forward, of course, to getting my hands on Stormlight. I don't know how far caught up is for Brandon, but with his pace of output, I'm sure it's further than many of us expect. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here, and have a good one, y'all. Peace!